So here are 5 biggest mistakes I made as a beginner in video editing. The first one being I didn't know how to create good assets or nice looking assets. You see, when I first got started, I didn't even know what assets were, to be honest. I just, used to put this picture with that, this background with that. I just used to select anything and everything and then just sort of try and get them together. And there were times I would even try and create an asset on the editing software in itself. So I've always been using CapCut, so I would try and create an asset on CapCut. And if I'm being honest, when I first started off, I saw that CapCut had assets, like they had like little circles or they had little squares that you could use. So I just ended up using them. I didn't know that you could actually go out your way and create them. I just didn't have the knowledge or the skill to understand that you're supposed to go on Photoshop or Canva and sort of create a asset with your own sort of skills. So what I mean by having better assets is that, let's say you're a fitness content creator and you want to tell people, start doing compound lifts. So you want to have this title card come up and you want to show you're doing a compound lift. So let's just say you're trying to show deadlift. So what the beginner me would have done is I would have just got like a deadlift picture, maybe had a white background and it would have just said deadlift. But you can actually make that asset so much better. You can add a bit of grid in the background, you can add a little maybe strip, you can add some gradient colors, you can do so many things just to create this asset of a deadlift or a compound movement. You want your channel to sort of stand out. You don't want to just be basic. You don't want people to look at your channel or your personal brand and be like, you know what, this guy does the same exact thing that everybody else does. So that's why I genuinely feel like being able to create better assets, not only does it help your channel, but it shows that you're unique, you're different to everybody else in your niche. And that's what I'm trying to do for my own channel, and that's what I'm trying to do for my own clients as well. Now, moving on to the second biggest mistake I made, which was I didn't know how to do animations. You see, when I first got started with video editing, I remember my first ever video, it was just like this montage of my Pro Clubs player doing couple passes, doing couple shots or whatnot. And I created that because my friends were having a go at me saying, oh, you're not playing well, this and that. So I thought, let me get all my best clips of my player and just edit the video so they can see what I've been doing on the pitch. So that's how I got started with video editing. But then as my interest sort of evolved and as I got more interested in the skill, I started seeing cool animations, and you probably know whose animations I saw. It was, of course, Imran Ghazi. It was around the time, I think it was COVID, or it was just after COVID, where he started to blow up a little bit and his videos kept coming up. And of course, I was interested in his videos, top 5 ways to make money as a student, or top 5 ways to make money before your 20s, or 10 rich things or whatever. Like, there were so many titles, there were so many topics to watch from him. But I genuinely clicked on his videos because I just liked the cool animations that he done. It was very like smooth, very different to what I've ever seen before. Yeah, he really popped off with his editing skill, his storytelling and whatnot. So I was really like intrigued and very interested in what he was doing. So that's where my sort of thought about animation came about, where I was like, you know what, I should try maybe create some of these animations. So I used to try and do some research, but I never really could find any good videos about doing it on CapCut or doing it on a software that I was finding easy to work on. And to be honest, at certain times I probably didn't even research it. I probably didn't even know what those animations were. And to be honest, a few years ago there wasn't much tutorial on how to do Imran Ghazi animations, because not many people knew about it, but people started to learn about it. So what I did was, I didn't really know how to do animations on a editing software, but I always knew from school days that you could do little animations on PowerPoint. So what I did was I just grabbed a PNG of this man, and I just wanted to learn the skill of moving this man from one side of the page to the other side of the page. And I sort of use this line that you can use on PowerPoint to make that man move from one side to the other side. And that's where my sort of journey started for animation. And it's funny because it was on PowerPoint. That's not even an editing software, but that was the only thing that I could think of when it came to animation. Like, it came to my head, oh yeah, we used to use animations and transitions on PowerPoint, so maybe there could be a feature where it allows me to do certain things. So that's where my animation journey started. But then obviously when I started researching more about video editing, I started learning about keyframes, I started learning about masking. But as my interests evolved, I was like, you know what, I could probably learn more difficult animations. I could probably do more difficult animations. So I kept watching video after video on YouTube, and then I started sort of realizing that the difficult ones that you want to be able to add to your videos or implement in your videos, you sort of need like After Effects and whatnot. So I did try a couple. If you scroll down to a couple of my old videos, like maybe my 5th or 6th or 7th video on this channel, you'll be able to see I did post one of the motion graphic animations that I did. It was like, it's literally a video of the motion graphic. It's not me talking or anything like that. So yeah, I did give it a go, but I started to realize that motion graphics and animations, when it comes to After Effects sort of level, it gets very difficult, it gets very complicated as well. So I'm not there just yet. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to learn simple animations on CapCut, and I've managed to learn a couple, you know, simple animations where, you know, you can have like a battery go from red to green, you can have like a line go smoothly across the page. So those are some of the stuff that I'm learning at the moment, how to have like a battery going up, because I'm like to myself, I might as well start with the simple things and then make it a bit more complicated, where I feel like, you know, I'm quite confident with my skills. I feel like I can do more things. So yeah, that's how I plan on learning more motion graphics and animations. I've always found it cool. I've always wanted to learn how it's done. I just never really put the time into learning it fully. So what I'm doing is I'm starting with the most simple stuff first, because then at least I know how some of the tools work. Then eventually going on to creating more difficult and motion graphics and animations, and that way I can start learning After Effects as well. Now moving on to my third biggest mistakes, I never ever organize my videos, and I probably wouldn't organize it for this video itself. So why is that? I think one of the biggest reasons why I don't organize my videos is mainly because I think when you're first getting started off, you have all these ideas, you sort of don't know exactly what your unique look is, unique personal brand look is. You don't know what like suits you, what doesn't, what works smoothly. You know, you're still trying to like figure different things out, and I feel like I'm still at that stage. I still want to know, do I want to have like a card sliding up? Do I want to have myself talking in a corner? Do I want to have B-rolls in a certain place? So yeah, I feel like this thing I will get better at when I eventually have like a unique identity when it comes to my channel or even my clients' channels. You know, once they've built like a maybe audience where we know, okay, this is what the audience likes, or this is the style of content that seems to be doing well for them, that's when I'll probably stick to a consistent look, and that's when I'll probably have a more organized file, because I'll know, okay, this is the title card we're going to have for this video, this is the assets that we're going to have for this video, this is the B-roll, this is the music, this is the sound effects. And yeah, so this is me just being honest. Like, this is something that I'm still working on, because I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me. Now, moving on, the fourth biggest mistake I was making as a beginner when it comes to video editing is I had very inconsistent video editing style. So there was a time, if you scroll down to some of my first videos, I had like a 4-figure client. Well, somebody recommended me this 4-figure client, and that client wanted me to do like a trial edit for them. And if I'm being honest to myself, that video was shit, man. Like, that video was really bad. Like, the inconsistency in the editing was genuinely like ridiculously bad. Like, there was a time where a car was going from left to right. There was a time where, you know, a house sale stand comes up. This was a real estate client, so you know, they were mentioning a lot of things about location and whatnot. Then there was a time where it was like a grid background with a map popping out and then a line getting drawn or being shown as like a motion graphic. So there was just so many different style in just one video, and when I look back now, I genuinely hate that video, and I can clearly see why the client didn't, you know, take me on board. But yeah, I've obviously learned a lot from those days. I've obviously learned a lot from those times, and yeah, going forward I would like to have a consistent editing style on my videos and also my clients' videos as well. And I think the reason why it's such a big mistake is because having a consistent editing style just makes you look a lot more professional. You see, when you watch channels like Ali Abdaal, when you watch channels like Iman Ghazi, when you watch channels like even Hamza, to be honest, he doesn't really edit, but when you watch channels like Dan Cole, and there's so many other creators out there where, you know, they've got a consistent style of editing, and that's why a lot of people go back to watch their videos, because they have this feeling of like, oh yeah, they're quite familiar with the style of content. So yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why I want to improve in that area. Now, the last biggest mistake I made was not knowing how important sound effects is. You see, when I first got started with video editing, I obviously understood you need music that goes with the theme of your video. So if you want your audience to feel a certain way, you need to put a certain music. However, I didn't understand how important sound effects are. You see, when you have something popping up on the screen, you know, it's nice to have that little pop sound. It's nice to have that little click sound. It just adds a bit more, I don't know, it really, it emphasizes the video a bit. I'll just go with that. I think it just emphasizes the video. It just gives that extra little touch to your video. And obviously when I first got started, I just didn't understand how sound effects work. But eventually, once I started creating a couple more videos, once I started realizing that other creators do use sound effects, and I think one of the biggest reasons I realized sound effects are so important was because I started watching Joey Edits. He does a lot of CapCut tutorials, and I was watching his videos, and his videos are really good. But one thing really stood out to me, which was his sound effects. Like whenever he had like a paper going up, it had this paper sound. Whenever he had something moving, it had this whoosh sound, and you know, it just keeps people engaged. It just keeps the viewer, like, you know, sort of interested in the video, I feel like. So yeah, that's something I definitely want to include in my videos and also my clients' videos. So yeah, going forward, I want to make more use of sound effects. One thing about sound effects I would say is they are sometimes quite difficult to find. Like, you know, sometimes you need a sound like this, or should I do that? You need a click sound. Sometimes you need this sound. So yeah, you can find it on Epidemic Sound. I'll leave a link to Epidemic Sound down below. So that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a lot of things. And if you want to see more videos, or if you want to see tutorials from me about video editing, do let me know and I can make more videos on that.